Hey everyone, this is Natalia from Give Me Audio, and I'm here to share with you yet another creative audio technique, or CAT, that we've been working on lately. This one is for the video game Clonizer. It's a turn-based exploration deck building game in which you are colonizing other planets using your loyal clonies, and trying to keep them safe from the dangers of new planets, such as hostile life forms and harsh weather conditions. Some of them are pretty obvious, while others, for example the UFO that shows up randomly, might fall out from the player's attention. The developers told us that they were inspired by The Outer Worlds, Oxygen Not Included, and Despicable Me, so they wanted to create the feeling, the atmosphere, and what's importantly, the sound of something very corporative, like a very old machine or a factory, and at the same time remain as cute as possible. The developers asked us to work on one of the planets they've already finished. We went with the spider planet that has, well, spiders. And also spider nests that create new spiders from time to time.
My worst nightmare, really.
The developers were already using Fmod for the game. This allowed us to work with a system they have already built and implemented into the project, which in turn means much less work for the programmer! We decided to add some rhythm to the interactions. The initial idea was to write a piece of music and then synchronize assets already existing in Fmod with the tempo. That way, we simultaneously add the commercial and the robotic vibe to the gameplay. But since I am a huge fan of adapted music, I couldn't help myself. I had to go a little bit different. So what I did is I created a specific layers for various states of the game. So instead of two simple combat and non-combat states, we have three independent parameters, namely the UFO attack, the spider nest, and the enemies on the map parameter. And for each of those parameters, we have separate music layers, colored in orange. Those layers are then added to the main music, which consists of main bass track, percussion, electro piano solo, and chords. They all are colored in blue here. So the initial state sounds like this. Yet the way those additional orange layers join the main mix is slightly different for every layer. The simplest one is for the spider nest. When there is an active spider nest on the map, extra bass layer appears to add some tension. In terms of technical implementation, it is achieved by adding a simple volume automation on spider nest parameter. So it comes and goes like this. The UFO parameter is a bit more tricky, because when the UFO appears in the game, we hear an alarm sound. But since this asset was already in the game and has very nice na-na-na triplet structure in it, I thought, why not use it for our own benefit? I've added a command instrument that starts the event attack alarm when the UFO attack parameter changes from 0 to 1. And then in Trigger Behavior tab, I also added the quantization by quarter notes. And when the UFO arrives, we hear that synced alarm triplet and the theremin comes into the mix. The idea of using theremin, by the way, belongs to my fellow musician Matvey Barun, and I personally think is brilliant, because it immediately makes you think about old sci-fi movies and TV shows about aliens. The trickiest part is the enemy on the map parameter. Here we have three states. When enemy is not seen on the map, when the enemy is seen but far away from our clonies, and when it's on the adjacent hexagon. So the probability of the encounter here is very high and the tension should be at maximum. This parameter is connected to the drum track, but a simple volume automation like I did on the bass before was too abrupt. I needed the transition part here, and a simple percussion roll worked perfectly. It is played every time when the situation changes from dangerous to non-dangerous and back again. The difference between far and near values is supported not only by the volume change of the drums but also by the low pass filter in case of far volume. Now let's hear how everything sounds in the worst case scenario. Okay, that's cool, but what about the rhythm? While we were researching other approaches to the similar task, we came across complex solutions using callbacks. And that required quite a lot of coding and creating custom scripts. Probably not something the developers would be happy to do. So I asked my friend and sound designer, Maria Vetrova, to help me with this problem, since I remembered that she's been working on the rhythm-based game before. And the solution she showed me was elegant, simple, and very time efficient. We start by creating another event, SFXs rhythm, start of which is triggered by the command instrument here in the music event that we were working on before. This event has a loop region with the same tempo as the music we created. Here I also added a global tempo parameter that may be changed with the music. Then I've created a labeled parameter for music SFX synchronization. I called it a well-tempered SFXs. And as values, I've added all the sounds we want to synchronize with the music here. Most of the assets were already made and implemented as Fmod events. And our goal here was to keep the old system as untouched as possible. If it ain't broke, don't fix it! So we are actually using those events as commands. And what they do is they change the well-tempered SFX parameter to the corresponding value. Every sound here is quantized either by quarter or by eighth notes. It depends on the length and on the frequency of the sound itself. For example, card appear sound is a very short one, so it makes sense to quantize it by eighths, whereas cloning sound is longer, so it is quantized by the quarters. Of course, all of it might be changed later after implementing into the actual build. And voila, everything works smoothly. And the best part is, a very small amount of work from the programmer's side. A new event for the music, a few new parameters here and there, and that's it. The rest can be done by the sound designer. And that is why using audio engines is awesome. Now let's look at the final result. Thank you for watching! If you have any questions, leave a comment here. Or if you're an indie game developer and you want to help us with cats, send your message here. And have a very safe and productive day.